It's the first time I remember hearing music and just feeling something different. I was like, man, this is cool. This is a great sound. This is what I want to do. One, two, testing, testicles, 1, 2.
Yeah, one more testicles, please.
Testicles, 1, 2.
All right, looking good.
Hello, my name is Lucas Conlon. I am a local musician who currently plays drums for a pop punk band called Wasting Tape. And I'm also a local producer and audio professional. I do concert audio and some recording stuff as well. My first car was a 1993 Chevrolet Blazer.
Interior, exterior, dashboard, grille, redesigned, refined. The new Chevy Blazer. Oh, that driver control. Tackles the forest, climbs every mountain, hits the game-winning shot at the buzzer. The Michael Jordan of sport utility.
Can you please get away from my Blazer? Thank you.
When you gotta get it, visit your local Chevy dealer today and take advantage of big cash back or low financing.
So, I didn't get my license until a little bit after I was 16 because I didn't want to do the whole driving school rigmarole. So I got my permit, had that for about a year and a half, then got my license pretty much as soon as I turned 16. And my mom had thought it was a good idea to shop for a car for me before I got my license.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I was probably like 15 or so, and we saw this Blazer sitting over at Schwann Pontiac, and I had to have it. My mom thought it was a great idea. Well, bought the car. Dad wasn't too impressed. He's like, what the hell are you buying this kid a car for? He doesn't even have his license. And she's like, well, it's going to be a good car for him. He's going to drive the kids around when he gets his license. Yada, yada, yada. So, you know, mom wins, and mom bought me the car. And, yeah, I would sit out in the front of the house for about a year and a half, and I just go sit in that thing, listen to music, and think, man, it's going to be so cool having this car in a little bit.
Did you ever pretend to drive, moving the steering wheel?
No, but I would probably back it in and out of the driveway a couple times, just hear the motor.
It sat there for how long before you got to drive?
It was probably less than a year. I don't know.
Okay, so was that more incentive to get you out of the house?
Kind of, and I know my parents were using it during that time as well, so you know, it was kind of a family vehicle for a little bit, with the plan for it to end up being my personal vehicle as soon as I was driving.
And you got to kind of pick it out a little bit?
Yep, we went over to, always kind of just looking around at car shopping, driving through lots, killing time. That was the thing Dad would always do when we were a kid, just go look at shit we don't need.
Yeah.
And, ended up seeing it at Schwann Pontiac and was really interested in it. It was in great shape. It probably had around 100,000 miles on it at the time. And, yeah, it ended up being a good deal and one of the nicest things we'd seen at the time. So Mom thought it was a good idea to jump on it.
How come your dad was against it?
Probably due to the fact that my mom would instinctually make impulse purchases all the time.
Yeah.
And this was just another one of those sort of things. And, you know, he felt like we were putting the cart before the horse sort of situation.
Yeah.
Which can't say he was wrong, per se. I don't think he thought it was a bad vehicle or a bad choice or anything like that, but he just thought it was a premature investment.
Sure, that could make sense. Are you the oldest sibling?
I am.
Okay.
I've got a younger brother and sister, and we're all 2 years apart.
Oh, yeah, right on. So you're going to be the new driver.
Yep.
Of the kids, like going to school and whatnot?
Chauffeur. Yep, going to school, going to youth group, whatever.
The mall.
Taking it hot rodding down to the desert.
Oh, yeah, of course. As a Bismarck youth, you're going to be down there tearing it up.
Vehicle with 4-wheel drive, I mean,
yeah, Blazer is not. Oh man, I've some of the cars people take down there too.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how there's not more vehicles stuck in the sand. Maybe there is all the time.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it's changed much even.
No, it gets pretty reckless down there sometimes. I've done some damage to a few vehicles down there, as a matter of fact.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever roll?
I have been in one rollover in my life. I was the passenger. I was cruising around with this chick I was dating at the time. It was actually my birthday, my 18th birthday at that.
Okay.
And we were leaving Highland Acres. We were making out on the playground or doing something. And she was intoxicated. I was intoxicated. She's driving, pulls out onto the street. And then there's these road cones in the middle of the road because they had just done striping, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And she's about to hit the cone and goes and swerves, overcorrects, then swerves back. And the thing just tipped over.
Yeah.
It was a Isuzu Amigo. I don't know if you're familiar with what that is. It's kind of like a smaller version of a Jeep, basically. It's a car with way too high center of gravity.
Sure.
Essentially. So, yeah. Remember just hanging there from my seatbelt because it landed on its roof.
Oh, yeah. You're upside down.
Oh, yeah. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? Unclick my seatbelt, fall from the seat, land in a bunch of glass all up on my elbows and arms, and get out. And I'm like, well, shit, someone's got to call the cops. So I called the cops, and I was like, hey, I was just walking by the school here and saw someone rolled their car. I lived like 2 blocks from there, so I was like, yeah, I was just out walking around, blah, blah, blah. Because I didn't want to be involved in the incident report, so to speak.
Sure.
And yeah, she was drunk and assaulting the paramedics and everything. It was a pretty wild sight.
Wow. Trying to fight with them, huh?
Yeah.
What the heck?
And then I was just turned 18 that day. So I thought I was so cool, I'm going to go light up a cig in front of a cop because they're not going to be able to do anything about it.
Sure.
So I go and light this cig, and then the firefighter's like, whoa, get out of here. There's gas fumes. I'm like,
no.
Oops. All right, my bad.
Sorry, man. I was trying to look cool.
Yeah. Not so much look cool, but just be able to be like, okay, I can do this now.
Sure.
These cops can't fuck with me.
Yep. Now you're 18, man. You're a man.
Yep.
So what was it like getting your first car then? Did you actually get a sense of freedom?
Yeah, it was. So I had the car. It was cool. The first night I had my license, I ended up going out and cruising Maine with a couple buddies, of course. You know, why not?
Right, yeah.
Just got this car, 16 years old. What else am I going to do? Go cruise Maine. Mm-hmm. And I was following one of my buddies, and we turned a corner, I think, onto First Street. And then I turned into the alley to head back east to do another lap and kind of squealed my tires a little bit coming into the alley. Mm-hmm. Well, of course, there's a cop on the other end of the alley.
Oh, yeah.
And turns around, wheels me. Lights are on. I'm like, oh, fuck.
First time getting pulled over?
First time getting pulled over, probably 6 or 7 hours after I got my license.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, this is not good. This is not good. My parents are going to kill me. And he comes up. He's like, you know, exhibition driving and you were speeding back there. And I'm like, oh, yeah, my bad. Hand him my license. And he looked at it. He must have known that. I mean, he had to have known that I just got it that day. Yeah. He's like, you know, exhibition plus speeding, that's like 10 points. You lose your license for that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm sorry, man. I'm just cruising around. Must be some gravel back there. You know, whatever bullshit excuse you give him at the time.
Yeah.
Goes back to his car. I'm like just sitting there sweating bullets. Like, man, this sucks. I'm just got my license. I'm going to lose this fucking thing. My parents are going to kill me. They're going to sell this car. Yada, yada, yada. And after what seemed like an eternity, he comes back to the window and I don't know. Must have been the nicest cop or he just got laid real good or something. But he's like, I'm just going to give you a warning. You should get home now. And I was like, oh my God. Thank you. Yeah. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, after that, I was definitely a little more careful with the gas pedal.
Good. You just didn't hit Main Street and start tearing it up?
Yeah, no, I think I got the fuck out of there after that. I was like, yep, okay, we're good.
Yep.
We're good. It's enough excitement for one day. Unfortunately, I didn't have that car very long because probably within a month of getting my license, I ended up rear-ending someone on the way to school with my brother and sister.
Oh, man, everyone's in the car.
Yep.
And you just smash into somebody.
Smashed it. Hood's crinkled up. fucker's totaled.
At like a red light or something?
Yeah, I was coming over the bridge, over the interstate, the Tyler Parkway Bridge. And I must have gotten distracted. I think I was looked over at the interstate or something, and by the time I looked back, there was a car right in front of me, and I didn't have time to stop, and boom, smacked that fucker.
Oh, man. You didn't even have time to brake?
I mean, I might have braked a little bit, but it wasn't enough to stop in time.
Jeez.
Yep. So that was a definite bummer, and probably ended up proving my dad right about me not needing that vehicle.
Wait, how long after getting it? After getting your license?
It was probably within a month, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that sucks.
Not good.
Is your dad a hard ass?
Yeah, he's a passive-aggressive softie, I'd say.
Okay.
So,
He's not a come and see my new belt type of guy?
No. No, but yeah, unfortunately, most of the time when he has these opinions, he ends up being right, which, justifies his opinions.
Sure.
So it was just another one of those, I fucking told you so moments.
Yeah.
So that was a tough pill to swallow. And then, Blazer's totaled. We sold it to someone we knew that did body work for, scrap or whatever, and he ended up fixing it up and selling it. But after that, it was...
No more car?
Well, they got me another vehicle because, like I said, I was in line to be the family chauffeur.
Yeah.
So I needed to, my mom was also sick of driving me around everywhere, playing in bands, doing this, that, and the next thing. So me having a car was a weight off of their shoulders and gave them more freedom in a sense. So I don't think she wanted to go back to carting my ass around. So I think within a month probably we found another vehicle, and that was a 1986 Mercury Lynx.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Stacy Sturm was in here, and she has a Mercury Lynx.
Okay, she has?
I had one. That was her first car, or second, something like that.
Gotcha.
A lot of people, it gets blurry, their first and second car stories, but I think it was her first car.
Gotcha.
Around there. And yeah, that was the first time I heard of one. It was so funny.
It's Mercury's version of a Ford Escort.
Okay.
So it was this little four-door hatchback thing.
Yep.
And it was some grandmas that sat in a garage and probably went out to get groceries and go to church once a week sort of thing. And they sold it, and it was pretty cheap. I think it was like probably $650 or $700 at that point.
Yeah.
So, and as a teenager, I was like, oh, great. Now I've got this piece of crap freaking old person car.
But I bet it was in good condition.
It was in great condition.
That's the thing, man. Old people know how to take care of their stuff.
I think it lived in a garage. There wasn't a speck of rust on it, no dings, nothing.
Dang.
In retrospect, it was a really cool car.
Yeah.
And now it'd probably be fun to drive around and get great gas mileage.
Right, yeah.
It had this tall automatic shifter that it had like the gates in it, so that's where it clicks down for each gear. So you'd go from park and just, and it felt like you're, I don't know, it was just like a powerful feeling shifting it into gear because you had to run through these little gates in the shifter board. And yeah, I drove that for quite a while. It was a good car. The seats laid down. It was a hatchback, so I could still get gear in there and haul my amp and PA stuff around. So it worked out well for me. But then eventually ended up finding a 92 Ford Explorer.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, probably
right
drove
on.
the Lynx for like 6 to 8 months. And then got some money saved up, and I was like, all right, well, I want something that, I can identify with more. Being an outdoorsy person and plus a band person.
Yeah.
Having an SUV is nice. Something where you can store some stuff, having 4-wheel drive, being able to go down to the desert, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, I got a 92 Explorer. And that was the first car that I had substantially enough to actually enjoy it and, feel like, this is my car. Got to do some modifications to it, put a CD player. Actually, no, that one came with a CD player, which was sweet. Mm-hmm. First vehicle having a CD player in. Didn't have to use the little tape adapter and the anti-skip Walkman.
Right, yeah.
The classic setup.
That's such a game changer too, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing you just got a book of CDs.
Earlier on, I ended up borrowing, like when I was probably 13, 14 years old, I borrowed all my friends' CD binders and just ripped all their CDs to my computer.
Oh,
so I just
yeah.
had this crazy library of music, which was great because I got into a lot of the bands that I really dig now just through being able to search through that catalog of music.
Nice.
And then making mixtapes, making burned CDs, and, you know, really being able to curate the vibe of when you're in the car.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. And I mean, that's half of the experience is just jamming your tunes, rolling the window down, letting everyone know what you're about.
Give me a taste. What is the soundtrack on the Explorer?
CDs that were probably regular rotation in there would have been the Unearth Oncoming Storm CD. I remember Ryan Fisk borrowed me that, and that was one of those records I put on. I was like, damn, dude, this is heavy. This is technical. This is sweet. This is fun to listen to. This makes me want to drive fast and powerful.
Yeah.
So I had that in there for a long time.
You got to be careful, though. That's kind of the thing. Like,
It's a
I don't know
double-edged
why.
sword.
Certain styles will just make you put that pedal to the metal,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you won't even know it because you're just getting into it.
Yeah, you hear Rage Against the Machine or System of a Down come on, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like Demolition Derby in your head, and you got to restrain that. Yeah, so that and Hidden in Plain View, I remember, was another CD that I got at that point. Life and Dreaming would have been the album, and I just freaking loved that CD. It was in there all the time. And now I listen to an album on Spotify, and as soon as it gets to the first song, and I'm like, nope, something else. It blows my mind that I could just listen to something on repeat like that.
Oh, right.
I'm very playlist oriented as well, but I've tried to more recently just do the album thing. Go back and listen to an album that maybe I didn't give enough time in the past, or, you know, bands that I never really got into. I'll go listen to their first 2 albums in a row just to catch the vibe of it,
Sure.
you know. And also I just get to the point where most of the playlists and stuff get repetitive and I need to freshen it up. So that's a good way to kind of change gears.
Yeah. Yeah, I find myself just changing genres, you know, because it
Yeah.
does get repetitive and bland. I don't know. I feel like I'm always looking for a new band, and not too many pop out for me anymore. It's
Yeah,
like
I feel
a
that.
song here, a song there, but
Yep.
I don't know.
Well, I think a lot of that's, you know, the way we found bands back then was going to the CD store. You'd grab the CDs and scan them and put on the headphones, and you'd listen to, oh, okay, I like this. Oh, no, this ain't so much it. So you could preview the album before you bought it. And
Yeah.
that was, you know, you had a catalog of stuff in front of you, and it wasn't just this infinite pool of all this stuff. You know, you'd go to the rock section, or you'd go to whatever section you're looking for, and kind of narrowed things down, gave you some selection to choose from.
See, I used to order off BMI, I think it was, and just get, I don't know, 10 CDs for one or something like that, or buy one, get a bunch for a penny, something.
BMI. Oh man, how many people's parents were like, what the hell? Because you'd get the first ones for what, like 99 cents a CD or something. Then they start just sending you random stuff in the mail at full price.
Oh, really? Yeah, I have no
You
idea.
remember
Since
that?
I was a kid, you know,
Yeah.
it was up to my mom to handle all of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I remember
But
first time I went into that was, it was in a magazine somewhere. They're like, oh, promotional deal. You can get all these CDs, pick 10, 99 cents each. Well,
Right,
you
right.
don't read the fine print as
No,
a
of
kid.
course
You're
not.
like, oh yeah, you throw some money in an envelope, throw it in the mail. Well, the fine print says, after this, we'll send you a CD every month based off of what you selected originally.
Oh, that's
so
funny.
now they're sending you stuff for full price.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're like, shit, I didn't want any of this. I can't afford any of this. And yeah, my mom called him and told him, you know, this is a little kid that got these, right? You need to quit
Yeah,
sending us
right.
these and cancel the subscription. He didn't even know what the hell he was getting into.
Well, that's the thing, too. I didn't know what I was getting into because I'm ordering based off the cover. You
Yep.
know, you would just
Oh,
look
yeah.
at the picture.
all
Some
you
of the
got.
artists, like, you would know or heard of, you know, Jimi Hendrix and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah.
But there'd be other ones that I'm like, I don't know who, but that cover looks cool, so I'll try it.
Yeah, or they'd have the, if you like this band, you'll like this band sort of thing, the different comparisons.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that would be
yeah.
another way to be like, oh, well, I like the Deftones. Maybe I like this band. My first memories are music. I was born from the situation of my mom and Dad were in a band together. My mom was a singer in this band, and my dad was the guitar player in this band. Well, turns out the singer and the guitar player had a thing for each other. And then eventually, here comes this kid.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Nice.
Here's me. So my first memories are watching my parents set up and playing their band and screwing around with their PA equipment and dubbing tapes and cassette tapes and making mixtapes. So I pretty much have always been around it.
That's cool. What band? What was their band called?
So when I was a kid, they had a band called the Ramblin' Heart Band.
Okay.
And then also Flatlands Express was the last one that I remember. But they had a handful of bands before that. They're both from Dickinson. So they played out in the Dickinson area for a long time. And then that's where they were living when I was conceived. And then my mom moved to Bismarck. And then my dad ended up moving to Bismarck afterwards. And they ended up getting married a couple years later. And then my sister came along. And then my brother came along.
Right on.
So you could say I was predisposed to all this music stuff.
Yeah.
Both of my parents have musical families. My mom's dad was a really well-known accordion player who had a polka band out in Dickinson in the 50s and 60s.
Oh.
And so her whole family would play music, essentially. On the weekends, they'd get together in the music room, and Grandpa would play organ, and my uncle would play the bass pedals of the organ, laying on the ground playing the bass, and someone would be playing guitar, and Mom would be singing, and yeah, Partridge Family type stuff.
Yeah.
So my mom says I'm a carbon copy of my grandpa.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
So she says that I've gotten a lot of his talents and kind of his interests, and just kind of am very reminiscent of him and how he was.
That's cool. Did you get to know him?
Unfortunately, no. I never got to meet either of my grandpas. They both passed before I was born.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, I really wish I would have. I hear lots of great stories about both of them, and it's just kind of a thing I never had.
Mm-hmm. And then when do you start playing music?
So, I took interest in guitar pretty much right away. As soon as I can remember, just messing around with guitars and plunking around on the strings, even going as far as taking some of them apart, which pissed my dad right off. I was always a very hands-on kind of tinkery sort of kid. Mm-hmm. For instance, my dad got me this trike when I was
a little
like
shit is what we used to call that.
Yeah, a little shit. There we go. That's a good.
I like hands-on tinker though.
And yeah, my dad bought me this trike when I was like 2 or 3 years old, and my mom left me unattended for too long, and I ended up taking the thing apart. I found like a wrench and whatever. I guess I took the wheels off this thing, took the pedals off it, just took it apart. My mom comes out to find me with this trike that my dad just bought me for my birthday or something in pieces, and she's like, you better figure out how to put that fucking thing together, or else your dad's gonna whoop your ass when he gets home. I guess the story goes that I got it back together pretty wobbly. It wasn't quite, screwed together with the proper torque specs or whatever, but I guess I got it back together, and yeah, that was probably one of the first instances of me reverse engineering something, you could say. Yeah. So yeah, I ended up carrying that same habit set into the future, taking apart guitars and amps, and one of our neighbor ladies gave me an old telephone back in the day, like an old rotary phone that didn't work, and I tore that thing apart and wanted to see everything inside of it. So I always had a pretty adventurous kind of mindset when it came to stuff like that.
Totally. Yeah, that comes in handy later.
Yeah, well, which now I'm electronic repairman. I do guitar repairs, builds, setups, all the above. So those traits definitely stuck with me.
Are these skills that you just kind of grew on your own, or did you take any technical classes?
So, I did a lot of just kind of figuring stuff out when I was younger, but then when it came, high school time, you could back up. Middle school, they had you take a shop class mandatory. So that was always fun. I enjoyed that. I was looking forward to that.
I never got to take shop.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why. It was never...
At Horizon...
Like either I didn't know it was available or what, but
at Horizon,
it's one of those
mandatory
skills I wish I got early.
Interesting. Yeah, 8th grade, we built like this little folding end table thing that like collapses down, and everyone my age pretty much has one. I swear, I see them at all my friends' houses, and I'm like, oh yeah, that old chestnut right there. Remember building that thing. So yeah, I took shop class, and then I really enjoyed it. So I took another, I think it was technology class the next year, where you do photo developing. They did like bridge engineering and just all these little different like tech vocational type things. When it came to high school, they had the Votech Center up at the college. I went to Century, and you could take electives to do like electronics, auto mechanic, auto body. I think they even had like horticulture. And then I did the carpentry programs. In 9th grade or 10th grade, I did finished carpentry. And then my junior year, I did framing carpentry. So that was kind of the start of my trade education, so to speak. Plus, I also, in high school, I worked at the String Bean Music Store. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
String Bean Music and Coffee. It was down on Main. They had like a little stage in there and a coffee shop. So I learned quite a bit about guitar repair and setup, and even basic sound skills and building PAs and all that over the 3-4 years that I worked there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
Who owned that?
Phil Fesser.
That was Phil.
And
Okay.
Sean Oban.
Oh, okay.
Yep, Sean
Right
Oban
on.
and Phil opened that up originally. Then Sean sold his part of it to Eckroth, which is kind of a weird thing because Eckroth was their competition at the time, but they did like a half merger. And then ultimately, when String Bean closed, Eckroth bought him out.
I always heard Phil was a jerk. Is this true? We don't have to besmirch the man on the podcast.
I wouldn't say
but-
Phil was a jerk. I think Phil had great intentions. He's a very good guy. I don't think he was a jerk by any means. I saw him do a lot of good things and take care of a lot of people, but he did not have much for social skills. Just a lot of days he would just be really crabby and hard to talk to. Mm-hmm. And, even people that were his number one customers and his friends would be like, yep, that's just the way Phil is.
Yeah. No, that kind of makes sense. I think I have heard that, but...
He also, I know he had really bad back pains and migraines all the time, so, I mean...
Well, that doesn't help.
Being crabby was probably nothing... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A byproduct of being in pain all the time. But no, Phil was a great dude. I saw, like, one instance. He was selling this acoustic guitar to someone. They weren't even there. He was just getting it ready for him. He's going to cut the price tag off of it with his Leatherman and accidentally drops it and puts the tiniest little scratch on it that you would never, ever see. No one would ever know it was there.
On what?
On the guitar.
Okay.
Because he dropped his little Leatherman tool that he was using to cut the price tag off.
Oh, sure.
So he goes to grab a different one. Well, he didn't have that same guitar. So he upgraded him to the next model up for free and just gave him that guitar instead because he had damaged the one that they were supposed to come pick up.
But barely.
Yeah, but
Sure.
barely. So I was like, damn, you really didn't have to do that, but good on you.
Yeah, right on. Huh.
And he was always a real proponent of kids playing and, making sure kids are getting good deals on good equipment. And yeah, he was always really good about hooking it up. He sold stuff way cheaper than he had to a lot of times. So I think String Bean Music was definitely an asset that this town misses these days.
Yep. Right on.
Yeah, so the music store gig was a good deal for me. It gave me a lot of experience and a lot of insight into what would come for me, since now obviously I work in production and music tech these days.
Yeah,
And,
that's such a cool job too.
Yep, got to meet a lot of people, got to see a lot of cool things. And Phil also did reviews for vintage guitar.
Oh,
so he
nice.
would always have all this new freaking top of the line stuff that he would be reviewing. So I'd always get to check that stuff out, or he'd sell that stuff off, because half the time vintage guitar would send it to you and review it. You keep the product for free. So
Right.
he'd sell, like, he sold me a set of pickups once that he reviewed for pretty much nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of good opportunities with that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's such a coveted job for a lot of people too.
Yeah.
Like I remember applying at a few different places, never got hired.
Yeah. The other problem with that was, though, he would let me buy stuff on installment plans. So needless to say, I rarely had a paycheck from there.
Oh, yeah.
Way too many good deals, which probably fed into my current obsession with buying way too much music shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've talked to somebody else too, just about musicians being broke all the time because we spend all our money just on new gear. Mm-hmm. And, well, God, when you're in that that habit. You can't break it. So I got to imagine you have tons of gear at your place.
Way too much.
So do you ever get rid of stuff, or is it just like pile on top of each other?
I'm trying to. I've got some stuff I'm selling. Well, not trying. I am selling right now, but it's definitely hard to go through and whittle stuff down because everything, does its own thing. Especially, as a recording producer, being able to have just an arsenal of different
right, yeah,
equipment.
Yeah, even if you're not using
pedals,
it for a long
guitars,
time, you
amps.
just have it in case.
They all, make different tones and do different things. So just having it just in case.
I find things are harder to sell these days too. I don't know, speakers, amps, PA equipment, that it used to move a lot easier, but
yeah, that's true. A lot of it's, I think a lot of it's just kind of dated gear, like old passive speakers and power amps and stuff like that. There's so much really good quality stuff now that you can get affordably that the used market on a lot of the more obsolete stuff is kind of tough to do unless it's in the this is vintage and now it's cool again category.
Have you ever cleaned out a board? A soundboard?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like open it up, clean the faders, clean the knobs, all that.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, I have an old one. I used to do recording here, and I can't remember how many channel, 20 some. My cat pissed on it.
Oh.
Yeah. And now it's all just
Yep.
can't hear anything.
That's probably fixable.
Yeah. It's been sitting in a box for years because I don't know.
Essentially the contacts get corroded. So like a switch is just, or a fader is a metal element that goes across this circuit that tells you, whether it's quiet or loud, and there'll get to be corrosion or dirt or contamination in between the metal elements there, the electrical elements, and then that'll cause it to crackle, pop, do whatever. Even like an old stereo, when you turn it on and turn the knob, it's like when you turn it up. A lot of people don't know this, but you can normally fix that by turning it off, take that knob, turn it all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down. Do that about 50 times. And a lot of times that'll break up whatever little bit of corrosion's in there enough to make it work again.
Right on.
I don't know how many people throw away old receivers and stuff like that because like, oh, this thing's shot. And all it needs is just a good cleaning, a little bit of TLC.
Do you have any use for a big board?
No, I've got 4 of them right now.
Damn. I got to figure out what to do with this.
I would be able to clean it up for you and see if it even works. That's a thing.
Well, maybe I'll think about that. Yeah. That sounds dope. So you've played in 103 bands. Do you want to tell me a few of them?
I think that's what we got it to. Yeah, I've got a few of them here. So the first band I was in was called Stella Mars.
How old?
Probably 14.
Man, that's young.
And the people in the band I was in the band with were like 19.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and the reason I got into the music scene and doing DIY sound and DIY music stuff to begin with is when I was in 8th grade, I got into a physical altercation with a kid at school.
Ah.
Ended up getting suspended and had to go spend a day at YouthWorks to fulfill my suspension. Well, the guy that was my tutor was a guy named Mike Bain, or Baino he went by, and we were sitting there talking, got all my schoolwork done or whatever, and then we were just playing chess and kind of talking, and music came up, and I was like, yeah, I play guitar, I do sound stuff, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, you do sound? Well, I work for this DIY event, or I work for a venue up at the church here called the Light Club, and we have bands come and play all the time. You should come and do sound for us. So I ended up going up there, this little kid, and ended up running sound for a bunch of the local bands.
And you knew what you were doing?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
I'd been running sound at church and for random things like that for a while. Like I said, my first memories are putting together PAs and
yeah,
fucking with all that stuff. So I had a pretty good basic knowledge for a 14-year-old anyway. Yeah, I was invited to come up there and help out with some shows and ended up meeting a bunch of the local band dudes and started talking to Andy Davidson, or Durr, you might know him as, and he was looking for a guitar player, and he's like, oh, I know you're 14, but you want to come and see what's up with this band? I went over and jammed with him one day, and he burned me a CD that was Thursday's Full Collapse and then he burned me Dashboard Confessional, Swiss Army Romance. And those two CDs changed my freaking life, man. I put on that Thursday CD, and it was the first time I remember hearing music and just feeling something different. I was like, man, this is cool. This is a great sound. This is what I want to do. So
that's awesome.
Through that, I kind of got involved with those guys. I was 14 years old. They're older than me. My mom goes to drop me off at Durr's house for practice, and she's like, how old are these guys? I'm like, yeah, they're like 19. She goes, there better not be any funny business going on. You know how to tell if someone's a pothead, right? They won't look you in the eyes. And I was like, oh, man. It was like a classic Almost Famous moment right there.
Yeah.
Mom was like, don't do drugs. So went over there, started jamming with those guys, and they were great. They never, did anything nefarious around me. They were respectful of the fact that I was a young kid. They were good influences, and ended up playing with those guys for a while. And over the time I was in the band, we recorded like 3 albums and played 1 show. And then I was, I kind of started meeting some other people and was trying to start a band with some of my friends. So I decided to leave the band. It was fun. It was a great experience. But for me, it was me playing someone else's songs that I wasn't that into. So I wanted to do something that fit who I was and what I wanted more.
Yeah.
So then I started jamming with my buddy Michael Erickson, who I also met through the Light Club or the New Song Church. And we started, covering like some Roses Are Red songs. They're a band that came through here a few times back in the day. Like an Under Oath song, some Foo Fighters stuff, just a handful of different things. Learned a few songs, then had a couple originals we were working on. And this is kind of a fun story too. Our first show with this band, which ended up being Between the Skies, is what we settled on for a name later. We were first billed as the Grenade and Mouth Tragedy, which is a name that Ryan Fisk made up because he wanted us to play a show, but we didn't have a band name yet. So he's like, all right, this is what I'm putting on the flyer. And that's when I'm like, all right, we better figure out a band name before someone else picks another name for us. And yeah, we put together this band for a talent show. And it was at the Century High School, which the funny part of this story is Century High School had kicked me out of their school about 2 months prior to this.
Okay, wait. This is at the same time you got suspended. It's like another one?
This is different. Oh, I got suspended.
You're just a little outlaw kid, huh?
Yeah. There's some patterns there.
Yeah.
So I got kicked out of school. They said they didn't kick me out. They just suggested a transfer to an alternative high school. But then they wouldn't let me come in there and see my friends at lunch and stuff like that. So I'm like, well, you kicked me out. But
yeah.
Whatever. And then 2 months later, they realized, oh, shit, we kicked out the student council sound guy. What are we going to do? So they're trying to have this battle of the bands. And they call me up. They're like, hey, is there any way you could bring a sound system?
For real?
Do sound? Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Is there any way you could do sound for Battle of the Bands? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, I'll do it if you let my band play. And they agreed to it. So we put this thing together. It was me, Michael Erickson, and Dave Maslowski on bass, and Mike Degree on the drums. And we played a handful of covers and a couple, like, little original jams we've been working on. Ended up getting second place in the talent show.
Okay.
And, yeah, it was a very rewarding moment. It was take that, Century High School.
Yeah, that totally would be. I was going to ask, like, I can't recall. I know I've played in Battle of the Bands for high schools. I don't recall if there was a prize, whoever came in first, second, or third, if there was. It just felt good to be a part of it, you know?
Absolutely.
And, like, just bragging rights, really.
Yep. Doing something in front of your school, especially when you're one of the more misfit kids that kind of doesn't fit into the status quo of the teenage high school experience at the time. Mm-hmm. It's your time to be like, yo, guys, this is what's up.
Yep. That was mine, too. Like, at a new school, a new band, and all my friends went to BHS when I went to Century. We did the Battle of Bands there, so all my BHS bandmates came up and we jammed. We were in a metal band, just like a thrash metal. Mm-hmm. To see all the other kids just their jaws drop and just the looks on all their faces and the silence after we're done. And we probably had like 7 songs and they're all 30 seconds each. very fast,
Yep.
very quick, up there, and then we're done. And just that lack of like applause, but more of a hush and that awe was enough for me, you know,
It's like
because I
back-
really, that's all I wanted to do.
Back
you
to
know?
the Future moment.
Yeah,
Your kids are going to love it.
yeah. But they never did.
Yeah. Yeah, we played the Bismarck High Battle of the Bands too then a couple years later. Another funny story was Jack Greenwood was playing in our band at this point, and he was ineligible for extracurricular things at the time at the school. So we kind of like snuck him in and we're like, oh yeah, he's not in the band, blah, blah, blah. And then he starts playing and Madler, the vice principal, comes and just grabs him off the drums.
Really?
Yeah. Well, he was in two bands for that Battle of the Bands, actually. He was playing with my band, plus he had his own band, and it was his own band that was playing. And then their singer's like, could Lucas Conlon come down here and play the drums? So I like walked down from the bleachers, and I barely knew the songs, but just went back there and pounded away on the drums. And then had to play for our set, too, which I was actually the guitar player of that band. And yeah, rest in peace. Jack passed a few years back, and I miss him a lot. But yeah, he was a great dude.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty funny story.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. You're about to play, and then the principal just comes, pulls you off.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that would suck. But it's kind of cool, too. Punk rock.
Yeah, oh, that's very punk rock. Oh, the drummer just got kicked out. We need someone else to come play the drums. Yep, that was fun. So after the Century Battle of the Bands, we ended up kind of forming our own band. It was just Michael and I originally, and we had those other dudes, older dudes, that were, you know, pretty mainstays in the music scene at that point, helping us out. And then we got our own band together and just kind of started doing our own thing. Went to play our first show in Minot. Well, we came up with the name Between the Skies because we're like, well, we need a name. And we went to play our first real show as Between the Skies in Minot at Planet Pizza. And, you know, we're excited as hell. We're going out of town. This is it. This is the big shot. We're going to go up here and have a great time. Show up, and the promoter goes, well, hopefully some people come. I accidentally put the wrong day on the flyer.
Oh, that sucks.
It was Friday, and she had put Saturday on the flyer.
No way.
So, yeah, ended up playing to our friends that came with us and the other bands.
Yeah.
We ended up meeting a couple other cool people that were there and made some lifelong friendships out of it. But, yeah, it was definitely a humbling, disappointing experience.
Yeah, I'd say.
So after that, I mean,
First
any
out
show,
of town show?
Yep, first
Okay.
out of town show. First show.
First, yeah, right on.
I don't know why we ended up with an out of town show first, but we did, which is fine. But yeah, it definitely taught us some humility. And after that, a show with 3 or 4 people was like, hell yeah, we're going to rock out. There's people here.
Nice. I've had those shows too, where you're just playing for the other bands and their girlfriends.
Yep.
And you're
Glorified rehearsal.
Yeah, right.
But some of those can be the funnest too. So
A lot of times they are.
Yeah.
And I've tried to keep that mindset. There is no show that's too small.
Yeah.
You know?
they make great stories.
They do. And yeah, you meet a lot of good friends. I've had bands that have come through here and there might not be a large attendance and most were cool about it, but every once in a while you get that band that has just got an attitude and they don't want to play for like less than 50 people and it's weird.
Yeah.
It's like pull your head out of your ass.
Yeah. I've learned it's not so much about you. It's about creating an experience for someone else to connect with you, give someone else something to enjoy. So if there's someone there having a good time and they're getting off, hell yeah. That's all it takes.
Yeah. Especially if
That's
they're
what
getting
it's
off.
about. Well, yeah. That's a quote from Almost Famous as well.
Oh.
He goes, I look for the only person that's not getting off, and I make them get off.
That's right.
Actually, you can write that down.
That's such a good movie.
Jason Lee. Yep, so Between the Skies played in town for a couple years. Played shows around here, played some shows out of town. Played a show in Williston. Rolled up to the school. This was at the time we had a couple 21-year-olds in our band now, so there was pretty much always a case of beer in the van and booze cruising on the way up to Williston. Get there, and Jason Kaiser had almost died earlier in this day too because he was coming up with us because our new band, Prologue of Mariana's Fall, that he played bass in and I played drums in, was playing as well. It was our first show, actually. We're driving down Main Street, going to pick something up before we leave town, and we drive by McDonald's, and dude was wasted when we picked him up at like 10 a.m. He's like, I want McDonald's. We're like, no, we're going to stop and get gas and you can get food there. He's like, no, I want McDonald's. Literally jumps out of the van, moving van. We were probably going 20, 25 miles an hour. Door hits the car on the side of the road. He fucking barrels into the car on the side of the road.
Jesus.
I'm surprised he didn't break his neck or something.
Yeah.
Runs over to McDonald's. Then we come back after grabbing whatever we had to, and he's just sitting on the curb eating his freaking McDonald's. We're like, Jesus Christ. Rolled up to Williston, continued drinking, hopped out of the van in front of the Williston High School, which is where the show was, and beer cans rolling out of the van, and the fucking principal standing right there. We're like, uh-oh. Definitely made quite an entrance that day.
Yeah. You're playing at another high school, huh?
Yeah.
A battle of the bands?
No, it wasn't a battle. So Williston didn't have a whole lot of venues, and somehow they were able to convince the school to do a show there. It was probably the last one after that.
Well, yeah, a bunch of drunk guys show up with cheeseburgers and beer cans spilling out.
Yeah, not good. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
That's not the vibe. A little shithead, as you had said earlier.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, played that show, and it was fun. Had a good time, but, yeah, definitely probably made the wrong impression on some folks. And, yeah, played with that band for a few years. And then Prologue of Mariana's Fall was also getting going at that time, which is the band that Jason was in, and Levi Sebastian on vocals, Richard Dixon or Dick on vocals, and Mike on guitar, me on drums. And it was pretty much grind thrash core. Blast beats and breakdowns.
Right on.
Some groove in there, here and there, but yeah, it was pretty raucous music to most people's opinion. But it was a lot of fun. Did a lot of cool shit. We actually ended up getting signed at one point to a label out of South Dakota called Corpse Grind Records.
Okay.
Yep.
Corpse Grind.
Yeah, what a name.
Yeah, right.
Gives you an idea what kind of music we were playing right there.
Yeah, it does. I do not remember this band. I don't know why.
We played in Bismarck probably like 3 or 4 times. It was pretty short-lived. I think we played together for maybe 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
And then it just kind of fell apart. This was the point in time where I was getting older and starting to get into things I shouldn't, so focus was definitely divided, and I'm sure the dudes in the band were sick of my shit, as they should be. And yeah, kind of pattered out, and then I didn't really do much musically throughout the early college years. I never went to college unless it was a party. But
you know what? Same.
Word.
Yeah, I have a lot of college stories, but I never went to school.
Yep, same. So when I say my college years, I'm not referring to when I went to college. It's when other people went to college and I hung out. And then, yeah, kind of stayed away from the band thing for a while as I was kind of finding myself and getting my shit together, so to speak. And then after I got out of treatment at one point, a dude hit me up, like the week I got out pretty much. He's like, hey, I heard you're back in town. Do you want to play a gig? And I was like, well, yeah. So I grabbed my guitar, went and learned a handful of these songs these guys had, and went and played with these guys for like 6-7 years. Or no, not 6-7 years, like 6-7 months off and on. That was the Valiant Nomads. And then after that, I played in a handful of different bands off and on. Played with a band called Oversoul. Had a band called Moments that almost got off the ground, but didn't quite make it.
Didn't have its moment.
No, yeah, good one. I never thought of that. That's great. Filthy Beats, kind of like a jam rock cover band that I played with for a while. And then I got into like a electronic DJ drummer duo with a DJ producer in the area called New Rain. And we went by New Rain and Big Dad. Then we also did
Wait, who's Big Dad?
So that's me.
Okay, all right. Where does this come from, Big Dad?
So I was, at this point, I was doing sound professionally, and kind of just the the local homie guru for all sound and music type stuff, and I'd help out my friends and whatnot. So eventually a couple people started calling me Big Dad because I was like the band dad, sound dad or whatever.
Okay.
And we were trying to think of a name, and that was the most obvious thing that stuck. And it just kind of became a thing. So it was New Rain and Big Dad. Then a couple years later, we played a festival, Prairie Pothole Festival, and put together a tribute band. It was like a 90s rap tribute.
Okay.
I was doing guitar and keys and like programming, sequencing stuff. And we did like Limp Bizkit, Snoop Dogg, Cypress Hill, stuff like that. Just like all the classic.
Sounds fun, yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Learned a lot of stuff too. It was the first time using Ableton Live in a professional setting, and learned a lot about building backing tracks and reverse engineered some songs to have the backup sequences and whatnot. Like, Hella Good by No Doubt is another one we did. We had a female vocalist in the band as well. And that song has like 8 different synth lines that come in like 4 bars apart and just layer up. So I had to I figured out all the different parts, laid them down in Ableton, and then stacked them in sequence, and then I would just play the first part, like the first line of each bar or each layer as it came in, and then they would just build upon each other. And that was a pretty cool experience because I really got to deep dive into those aspects of production.
Yeah.
And figured out a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have otherwise. And then after that, I played with a dude named Cold Sweat. He's a hip-hop rapper out of Minot. He lives in Minneapolis now. He's in a band called Hiatus now, which you might have heard of. They play around the area quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I played drums for his first like full band project.
Okay.
We called it Cold Sweat Bands.
Nice.
And yeah, I was the drummer / band leader for that as it was getting off the ground. And then after that, I didn't play again for a few years because I was so busy doing production stuff. I mean, working audio production is a double full-time job sometimes. In the summer, end up working 18-hour days, sometimes 4, 5, 6, 7 days in a row.
I suppose you got to start in the morning and you're going to be there all night.
Yep. Even get a couple hours of downtime in the afternoon, but you're still on site. You're still working. Mm-hmm. So with that being the case, I really didn't get much time to do anything. I went and jammed with my buddy Taylor Billings, high school buddy that I'd known, since middle school actually I'd known him. He had hit me up a few times before, like, hey, we should jam. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, let's do it. But it just never really materialized due to scheduling conflicts. And then one time we actually did get together and jam. And it was good. I felt, oh man, this is my first time playing drums in probably 4 years. Go straight to playing fast punk rock. I was like, man, am I too old to be doing this? Do I even know how to play the drums anymore? But then after a handful of times jamming, the rust started to shake off.
Oh yeah,
and
well that's good.
Started to get
that could be discouraging.
Back. Oh, it was. I was like, fuck, dude, what did I get myself into? I look like a doofus now. And yeah, we eventually ended up grabbing another buddy that's the same age as us, Nick Turnus from Mandan, bass player, and formed a 3-piece called Wasting Tape, and that's who I'm playing with now.
Nice.
Kind of like 90s, 2000s, West Coast style punk rock, you could say.
Yeah. One of my favorite local bands so far.
Oh,
and
really?
Boy, do we have a lot of good ones.
Wow, thanks, dude.
I played with Taylor before, and a couple of the songs you guys play, we had played his songs.
Yep.
He plays them different with you guys, and that's really cool to hear these songs a little bit different.
Yeah,
and then one of our
evolution.
songs that we had, you guys are also playing, that Leaving North Dakota,
yeah.
which is such a good song.
Yeah.
I think it needs to get recorded by somebody somehow.
Oh yeah, it's coming. We're working on an EP right now, so keep your ears peeled for that. We've actually talked about covering a couple of Vex songs before, so that could happen too.
Oh man, please do.
Yeah,
because I've always wanted to watch myself play, but I'm too busy playing. So if I could just like clone myself, or what we wanted to do was make the Vex like incorporated, and then we could age out and other people would just take our place and continue the band.
Yep.
And then finally we'd just be able to sit back and relax and just kind of watch and rock out to our own music. You know what I mean? It's stupid, but how awesome would that be?
Yeah, that's great.
So yeah, you got to play our songs. I would
Yeah,
love that.
we've jammed on Punk Rock Robot before, or Butt Rock Robot. Sorry.
Either or.
Yeah, Punk Rock Butt Rock Robot.
Yep.
That's fun. So maybe that'll end up in the set. Who knows?
Yeah, that would be fun. Maybe I'll be the robot.
Oh yeah, do you still have it?
No, we've gone through so many different cardboard iterations of that thing,
Oh yeah.
and it would only last a show.
Oh yeah,
because
just get
the person
tackled,
would
destroyed.
you get tackled. You're out the bosh. Cardboard
Hell
robot.
Yeah. Well, now I think we have to, man. We got to build a new millennium robot or a new age robot and make it happen.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That sounds fun.
Congratulations on the new house too.
Oh, thanks.
By the
man.
way,
I think.
so you're recording yourselves.
Yep.
Is that right? So you have your own studio now?
Yep. Got a jam space, studio space. Got way too much freaking gear. So,
But is this the first time you've had like all your gear at your own place?
first time in probably better part of 10 years.
Okay.
Most of my gear so I had a house in Mandan around 2015, and there was like this master suite upstairs that ended up being a perfect studio. Vaulted ceilings, big open space, and I did a lot of recording and jamming there. But after I moved out of that place, I was kind of either in apartments or trailers and nowhere where I had a place to, cultivate a studio.
Yeah. No, and that's so
So-
difficult if you're in that biz.
Yeah, my stuff would either be in storage or I'd have certain things lent out to certain people, yada, yada, yada. I mean, before I played with Wasting Tape, like I said, I didn't have my drum set up anywhere for years. The only times I'd set them up is when I had to rehearse for something. I'd learn the material quick and never got to practice other than learning songs. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's definitely been very rewarding being able to just walk into a space and everything's there and ready to go.
So you've been pretty much in every position. I mean, you've been the drummer, you've been the guitar player, you've been the sound engineer.
Mm-hmm. Played bass in a band, did the keys and sampling things. So, yeah.
What do you think has been more fulfilling for you?
So I say that I'm a guitar player by trade and drums are my second instrument. Most people recently know me as a drummer because most of the bands that I played in, I played drums for. Drums are a lot of fun. I love playing the drums. But I feel like guitar is my first instrument in the way I feel more expressive and creative, and it's more of what I'm into. That's the instrument I fell in love with at an early age. So I'm looking to get a band going where I am playing guitar, doing something.
Yeah. Why not with your band? Just get a drummer and then move into guitar.
We've talked about it.
Yeah.
You know how hard a drummer is to find in this town, though?
Yes, I do. God damn. Yeah. Every time I meet a kid, I'm like, just be a drummer.
Yeah, please.
We need more of them.
Will you learn? Well, at least try.
Never works though. Guitar is just too cool of an instrument,
Yeah, that's just it. And it's for parents, it's a cheaper instrument to get your kids into, and it's a lot more peaceful instrument to get your kids into.
Right.
I mean, God bless any parents that let their kids have drums because it is loud, it is obnoxious, and if you've ever heard someone that's just learning how to play the drums, it's even more loud and even more obnoxious.
Yeah.
So yeah, bless all the parents that have ever bought their kids a drum set or allowed their kids to have a drum set because you're out there doing God's work.
Mm-hmm. Adam's kid, he's playing drums.
Awesome.
And he's doing pretty good, so
Love to hear
in a
it.
couple of years he'll probably be out there on the scene.
Cool. He can play on Wasting Tape.
Yeah, actually you should do that.
Driving and traveling has become kind of a lifestyle for me through, either driving for work or traveling cross country to do things because I do a lot of driving now, and that's I don't know how to put a number on it, but I'd say 1 million or more miles in my adult life driving. So working production, a lot of times you're driving a straight box truck from one gig to the next, and I I did production for Hairball for a long time. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Yeah, I've never gone, but I know of it.
Yeah,
And
like 80s hair band tribute.
it sounds
stuff.
awesome.
Yeah, a lot of fun. They do full costumes and pyrotechnics and really good show production. And
Hell yeah, that's cool.
Do great covers of the music they play. They're pretty popular around here. And I mean, I've traveled from here to Texas with them. You
Okay.
know? So driving a truck from here to Sioux City to Nebraska to Kansas to Texas, all over and back. Sometimes it's freaking 6 hours between dates, you know, and rack up a lot of miles doing that. Plus, so in 2021, I bought a 2016 4Runner, which is kind of my adult dream car.
Okay.
And because I'm a big adventurer, I like snowboarding, I like camping, like being outdoors. I just drove out to Portland a few weeks ago to hang out with my sister for a few days. So, I mean, I drive all over the place all the time. And a lot of times I prefer to drive over fly even.
Yeah.
I like having a vehicle when I get to a place. And it's not even so much about the destination, but the journey.
Oh my
The
God.
stuff
I
you see
love
along
road
the way,
trips.
the people
You're
you
so
meet,
right.
the food you can find, all the
Yes.
above.
Yes.
So
And
I'm a
yeah,
sucker
it's so
for-
much better in flying. You don't have to deal with other people, really. You bring whatever you want, too.
Yep.
As much as you want.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't really fly with snowboarding gear and
You
whatnot.
can, but it gets expensive.
It's got to suck.
It does suck. I've flown to Salt Lake with snowboarding gear a couple times, and yeah, it's usually like $100 to check your bag, and then you got to wait for the oversized luggage to come through and hope something didn't get messed up. Because I don't know if you've ever looked out the window while they're loading the fucking plane with your
just
luggage.
chucking bags, yeah.
Chucking shit,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, don't ever let your guitar go underneath the plane. You might not ever see it again, or you might not see it in one piece again.
Now, my uncle used to travel with his.
Yeah.
I'm like, they'd let you take it on the flight? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of musicians I know that travel with their guitars, they won't check them, but most of the airlines make exceptions, and they'll like hold an instrument for you in their like little oversized lockers that they have up in the stowing area between the cockpit.
Probably have to plan ahead.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know how it works, but I think it's kind of like an unwritten thing that they will allow you to. I mean, if you bring like 3 guitars, they're probably not going to let you.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I think they'll make exceptions due to the fragile nature of things.
Yep.
You might pay for it. I don't know. I've never flown with a guitar personally, but I've just heard a lot of horror stories about it. Driving has just kind of really become a lifestyle for me more than anything, whether it's, you know, for work, for pleasure, driving the band around, whatever. So, yeah, this is a crazy one. I was driving a box truck back from, I want to say, somewhere in Illinois, Davenport. Coming back from Davenport, and there's construction going on, and I'm driving big box truck, and in front of me there's, I think it was a Chevy Avalanche, and all of a sudden this guy just starts bouncing back and forth in the lane, swerving hard, and then goes like far into the left lane, then comes back and smashes this barricade wall that was up for construction. And bounces off this wall like 3 times. All the shit in the back of his pickup's flying out. A spare tire flies up and rolls over the hood of my truck. And this guy goes in the ditch and ultimately gets pinned into a fence and stopped. And me and the guy I was with pulled over immediately, obviously, to make sure, you know, whatever happened, someone's probably dead. We're thinking, fuck. So I called it in. A few other people stopped. One of them was a firefighter. One was a nurse. So, I mean, there was a pretty good first people on the scene. And I think it was someone that had fallen asleep at the wheel. Because we go up to the truck, and they're laying across the front seat of it. It's a bench, and they're just, like, laying across the front seat of it. And I think they pissed themselves, too, or something, because their pants were just soaked. And it was a Hispanic gentleman. So I couldn't even speak a lick of English. We're trying to, are you okay? Don't move. Just stay there. Help is coming. Just stay there. Don't move. And then, yeah, turned out he was fine. They got him out of there. But I was like, holy crap. That was one of the scariest things I've witnessed that far in front of my car, or that close in front of my vehicle.
Yeah, yeah. I wound up
Adrenaline's
getting
flying.
a dash cam now.
Yep. I've got
And now
one
that I
too.
got one, I don't see
Nothing will
anything.
happen. Yeah. Since I got one, I don't see shit like that.
Yeah.
And if I do, it'll be like, oh, storage is full.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got this little, it's like a CarPlay add-on because my car is a little bit too old to have CarPlay built in. So it's got the CarPlay interface, plus it's dash cam, and you can like stream your phone to it so you can watch movies and little shit like that you're not supposed to do while you're driving.
Right.
It's good for the passengers, though.
Just put cruise control on and then kick back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, cruise control on, legs up over the dash, relax.
Yeah.
You see people doing that. You know, driving down the road with one foot up on the dash. It's like, what in the hell are you going to do?
Oh, man, if you
have to make
rear
a
end
quick
somebody.
Yeah. Or have you seen Death Proof, Tarantino movie?
Yeah, their leg flies.
The chick's leg that just gets severed and goes. That's my favorite Tarantino movie. That's great.
Yeah, or when girls just have both feet like up on the dash and their knees right in front of their face.
Yeah, or they're sitting like with their feet under their butt, just like cross-legged. It's like, what in the hell? Where did you figure out that to be a good idea?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just haven't learned the hard way yet.
No.
Hopefully don't, but yeah, geez.
Yeah. Well, people are so distracted driving the way it is, and then, yeah, it's different. People are in a bubble in their cars now. The car damn near drives for them half the time. They don't have to worry about accelerating or decelerating because the cruise is automatic. You don't have to worry about staying in the lanes as long as your hand's on the wheel. The car will do it for you. Man, that shit scares me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm not even close to being there.
I know how computers and machines work, being growing up in the computer era, and I tell you they're very prone to failure.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how good or how advanced they are, they're prone to failure. And I mean, I don't know, you can take a look at Tesla track records and get a pretty good statistic on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so driving has definitely been a big part of my life, pretty much my whole adult life. I don't know who I'd be if I hadn't done all the traveling that I have. It really gives you a lot of perspective on the world around you. You meet a lot of people, see a lot of different things. Driving in cities is fun to me. Whenever I'm in a city with a group of people and everyone's like, I hate driving in cities, I'm like, I got it, let's go.
Yep, I'm the same way too. Yeah, I'm like, move over.
It's like
I'm
second
taking
nature.
over.
And people are like, you're driving so aggressively. I'm like, you have to, or else you'll be sitting and waiting forever or get pushed into the wrong lane.
Yep, then you're going to a part of the city you didn't really want to.
Yep.
Right.
Yep, getting rerouted 3 times. That's another thing that blows my mind is how did we do this shit without navigation? You know, we'd go to this. I was 17 years old, driving to Minneapolis for a Warped Tour, and we just know where to go. Print out a couple things on MapQuest and just pay attention and know where to go. Now
Well,
it's
that
like,
was the thing, paying attention, yeah.
Yeah, if I don't
Atlas, having somebody like right next to you,
Yep.
Looking at the Atlas
a
and kind of
qualified
telling
co-pilot.
you, or printing stuff out on MapQuest like we used to back
Yep.
then, looking at it ahead of time,
Yep.
kind of timing
Studying
it out.
the route.
Yeah. Now I get to a point where if, and this is definitely on me, but we'll wind up in the city and my map, my whatever I'm using to tell me where to go, if that stops working, I forget that I have to pay attention to road signs now. It's training me not to. And I have to get back out of that because I've been in that situation where like, oh no, where do I go in that last minute? And yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Or
what
even-
are these road sign things?
I'll be driving and it'll be like, oh, turn in 0.2 miles. I get distracted for a half a second and I look back at the navigation. I'm like, fuck, I just missed it. Well, I
Yeah.
guess now I'm going down here, looping around, rerouting. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I do love my navigation, though. Holy smokes, is that handy.
Me too.
Yeah.
That is probably one of my favorite technologies of date.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and even it's nice how it'll tell you about crashes ahead and red light cameras and speed checks, whatever.
Yep, speed traps.
Yep, that's real nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I usually have a radar detector in my vehicle.
Do those still work?
Oh, yeah, they work great.
Do they?
Oh, yeah.
I never see those anymore. Maybe it's just me.
People forgot about them.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought a Lexus LS400 about a year ago, which is the first model of Lexus that was ever made. And it's sweet. It's in great shape. It's like an old school gangster / grandpa car that's just been well preserved. And it feels like you're driving something nice. And I drove to Montana with it last summer for a wedding. And as soon as I got into Montana, you know, you can be a little more willy-nilly in Montana. Speed limit's a little higher, but for some reason, I don't know, I couldn't do anything about this, but the car just wanted to go 100 miles an hour.
Not your choice.
It wasn't my choice. I just had to give the car what it wanted. So I'm like, well, I'm stopping in Billings and going to Best Buy. Picked up a radar detector. Man, those things work great. Now I drive anywhere from 90 to 130 in that car when I'm on the highway.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're a little speed demon.
Yeah.
And
well, this is just when I play this car in a video game, right? On Gran Turismo. I'm not talking in real life.
Oh.
You know, I would never do that in real life. But yeah.
He winked at me.
No, I didn't. What? I had a bug in my eye. I was trying to suffocate it. So the radar detectors, they're handy. And even, I just like knowing when there's a cop around me. I don't like them.
Yeah.
They're not friendly.
See, I'm not
me.
much of a speed demon, I would say, but I like to go 80, maybe 85, and I don't think that's outrageous.
That's about what I go in the 4Runner.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still, now that I have that, I take it in whatever car I'm driving at the moment. Just because, it's nice to know, is there a cop up here? Maybe I was going a little fast. Well, I can tuck it back down so I don't have to deal with a possible inconvenience and getting harassed and interrogated by Johnny Law.
Johnny
Lawferson trying to protect me by pulling me over for not using my blinker, but cut off 3 people and ran 2 red lights to inform me of such. I digress.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming in, telling me your story.
Thanks, dude. This is a lot of fun. I love what you're doing. It's a cool podcast. I've listened to most of them in my travels. Leading up to this, I wanted to see what it was all about. And there's only a few that I haven't listened to so far. So it's
good. You got some catching up to do.
It's great. I haven't listened to the new episodes, but I've got to be about due for a trip, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a good road trip podcast.
It is. It goes right with the theme.
I had a road trip recently, and I had to go back and listen to a few episodes, and then I was back home. I was like, holy cow, just made the time fly by. So, thanks again for coming in. I will have you back.
Cue the music.
That fits,
Cranking it too hard.
Yeah, no, I think somebody did. That was the thing. Like, I went back and I'm like, why is this so loose? Somebody did it. I don't know who. One of my former guests broke my bidet.
Motherfucker.